on number 3, presentation, MHS Advisory Committee.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Timothy Goliger, and I am the representative for the 10th grade class. So the music program at Marlborough High School is renowned throughout Massachusetts and the music education community. It's truly a gem that reflects very well on Marlborough Education District, and it's the result of hard work and your investment in programs such as the mixed chorus, string ensemble, a cappella choir, wind ensemble, concert band, which actually won a gold medal at MICA last year, and jazz ensemble, which has been recognized by the state. We also offer opportunities for students to enhance their skills through guitar workshop, piano workshop, music production, and fundamentals of musicianship, which are half-year elective courses that the students can choose to take. Not only do we challenge our performance, or the performer within ourselves, but we also challenge our intellectual capabilities by offering advanced placement music theory. AP Theory is regarded as one of the hardest AP courses that you can take at Marlborough High School, and I'm sure Susan can attest because she's in that class every day. I'm very active in the music department, and it's very near and dear to my heart. I am assistant conductor and a tenor 1 in a cappella choir, and an enthusiastic member of the Triad Music Honor Society. We recognize the nearly impossible task of creating the perfect schedule that would allow those who have competing priorities such as STEM and state-mandated graduation requirements to participate in music classes. But sadly, there is a noticeable decline in student participation in music school-wide. We hope that you can help manage those competing priorities so that more students have the opportunity to participate in this highly respected and deeply effective educational opportunity. So thank you for your time tonight, everybody. Does anybody have any questions?
Questions from the committee, Mrs. Tennessee.
Thank you very much. Thank you for coming tonight.
Absolutely.
And yes, the music department is really a wonderful gem that we have here. Out of curiosity, though, with a number of folks like yourself, have you thought of some ideas of how you could anticipate keeping those conflicts limited that you're kind of referring to?
The school used to do, I believe, a better job, and I don't know if this is state or if this is district-wide, but we used to have sports waivers that students didn't have to take gym if they competed in a sport. That freed up a period for the day that could have been used for music or the fine arts. The school used to be able to double up on gym periods. Gym's a big issue in my mind because as someone who wants to go into the field of music, I don't need physical education. Yes, it's state required and it has been for a long time, but when am I ever going to use that in my life? When I could be, enhancing my skills and bettering myself as a musician and a performer through more choirs, more bands, AP Music Theory, as I mentioned before. And they just recently did a 4-year math requirement, which I understand because you need that to get into college. And the 4-year requirements like math and English, and that's really it. I don't think that the school has the authority to back up on those, but maybe that's something that we could bring up to a higher level.
Well, and I also think that as Mr. Cleary, I think, had brought to the table probably just a year or so ago, was looking at other opportunities of maybe other additional semester courses, not only just in music, but in other areas that might actually help. So we're meeting the requirements of the Mass Core standards that need to be met by the state as you were leading towards, but also then trying to allow for different opportunities for yourself and others, exploring different avenues, whether it be music or other extensions where people have interests. So, I guess I would offer up as a suggestion, because I think, it's a good thing to look for what are other opportunities, and you all may be able to come up with some creative ideas to offer up through student council or approaching the music department through Mr. Rosenthal or to Mr. Cleary on other ideas of semester courses that might also meet some of your needs that would also then work hand in hand with some of the physical education needs that need to be met too. So I guess I would encourage you, maybe with the passion that you have, to maybe channel it in ways that hopefully would help not only for yourself, but then in the future for kids wanting to further themselves down the path of music.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Heidi DePercio, and I'm a junior this year. And like a lot of my peers, I am taking AP courses. And in the past, AP courses had kind of been, Marlborough has such like a wide variety of AP courses, but they'd all kind of been separated because we never really came together. So, you'd like get the requirements for one class and for another. But this year what they did, which was really good, was we had an AP kickoff event, they called it. So during one period of the day, our ELB, all the students that were taking AP courses went into the little theater, and not only did they go over like payment information for the AP tests at the end of the year, but they also, just told us how great this will be in the long run and kind of kept us motivated, because it can be hard, like in the thick of all those tough classes. So they gave us that encouragement. They gave us Smarties, which was fun. So it was a good way to, not only get all the boring stuff, if you will, like, payment and just like those kinds of requirements out of the way, but also encourage us to do that. And it's really helped me because I took an AP course last year and we didn't get all that. So it was kind of unclear on what was going to be happening throughout the year. You just know like what you've heard and everything. So it was good to get a clear understanding of what we should expect this year and just like connect everyone and bring everyone together that's taking the AP courses. So that was a really great thing. Thank you.
Any questions from the committee? Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Samantha Merrill, and I'm a senior this year. So I think it was Heidi that last year actually told you guys about how she believes that we should have a freshman mentoring program, basically have show them the school, because she felt that when you come in as a freshman, it's very scary and you don't know the school very well. So last year, we actually had an opportunity to sign up to be mentors, and over 125 mentors signed up from grades 10 to 12. And last year, we had full day of school, and we basically went into the little theater, and these two people that do this for a living taught us about leadership skills and how to help other people, like younger kids, to encourage them to do well in school and basically help them. So this year we had first a freshman orientation. So the day before school, they came in and we gave them a tour of the school. And we told them basically everything that you can expect in high school, had them ask questions. We did icebreakers with them so they could get to know their mentors. And at the end, we had an ice cream social, which they enjoyed. And then the next day, the first day of school, we had an extended homeroom, and the mentors went into the homeroom and basically talked to the freshmen, made sure they didn't have any last questions that they wanted to ask, and basically encouraged them that the day will be good, even though you might not find a class. And then for the first day of school, the mentors had to wear these blue shirts and this lanyard that tells them our names. And the bright blue shirt is basically so if you see them in the hallway, you know that they're approachable and you can ask them anything that you need to. And we're going to be wearing the lanyards for the rest of this month. And this will show if a freshman needs any advice throughout the day, they can come up to us. And it's not just for freshmen. So any new students from 10, 11, 12th grade, or even freshmen now that are just entering the school, they'll be signed a mentor. And basically this is, if you come into a new school, you might be scared that you're not gonna have any friends, or you don't know the school very well. So when you get assigned a mentor, they'll guide you through how the day goes or what lunch. You can even have them as a buddy, and you know that you can get to know them and their friends. And I hope I answered any other questions, but if you do need anything, Ms. Buckley also runs the mentoring program.
Any questions from the committee? Senesi.
I just actually wanted to compliment you all, because I think having the orientation day and the night before or whatever was great. And having the mentoring program where it gives people an easy way to ask questions, because sometimes that's the hard thing, is finding the, who do I ask, and not necessarily wanting to step out there. So having you all kind of stand out in blue shirts, which may feel a little dorky at times, but I'm sure it's fine, and have the lanyards, it helps to ease it. And I really think that was a great thing to have done this year. So kudos to you all for doing it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Susan, anything to add? No. Good, all right. Thank you all very much. Wickham School Student Activity Accounts.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you remember from the last meeting,
we asked Principal Cleary to come and talk about the student activities that are running at the high school. And tonight, we've asked Principal Daniels to come and talk about the activities and funds that are happening at the middle school. As you can see from the printout, that there's a lot less activities at the middle school. The high school really drives the student activity portions. And what Principal Daniels has done is given the current balance as of September 1st and the projected fundraising for the different activities that are going to happen during the school year. Obviously, this is a moving target because there might be things that the students want to do throughout the year that he would like to support. Some of them are through fundraising. So again, this is just a report that we want to do on a yearly basis to the school committee to give you an understanding of why we're running the student activity funds. So I'm not sure if there's any questions that either myself or Principal Daniels can answer.
Any questions? Ms. Matthews? I have a question, sorry. I guess one of my questions was, I was aware, I was told by a parent actually, that there is a Minecraft club. So, and that wasn't on the list, and I didn't know if that was something that's being,
There is Minecraft
Okay.
Club. These student activities, they're listed here, all involve funds being transferred in and out of school. Minecraft does not.
but it's being run through school or not through school?
It's a parent volunteer who has been quarried and approved, ran it last year, and who has continued to offer this very popular after-school activity on Tuesdays.
Thank you.
Actually, what about like the art club, like some of these other clubs that are clubs that have,
These are stipend funded, yeah.
yeah.
So they're not, there's no student money coming into those clubs.
And never any fundraising?
Not in my experience last year, no. Nor need.
Michelle?
Oh, sorry.
Well, now, to your point in regards to the arts club, are they utilizing just regular supplies that are there, or are they needing to bring something in? I guess I just am wondering, so is that something that there isn't a fee attached to?
We're not charging fees for clubs.
Right.
Okay.
And we try to support as many as we can with district materials. The ones in front of you have specific fundraising goals. So that's why what happens is when the funds are raised, they go into the student activity checking account, savings account, sorry. And put in the checking account, I know.
So with the savings account, okay?
So these are specifically fundraised for these activities, whereas we try to support a lot of the other clubs, with as many district funds as we can. And we've tried to eliminate all the fees we can for field trips as much as we possibly can.
Yeah. I just had a question about the drama club. In the notes, it says play tickets to cover play expenses. You mean the tickets that people pay to go see the play?
Right, so the drama club income is based on ticket sales and stays in their account. The school, the district, pays for the show, so buying scripts and rights, and then all the other expenses are paid through ticket sales. So that's basically a revolving account.
Sorry, off of that, wouldn't that also be like, do they do an ad booklet similar to, right, I was gonna say, don't they do an ad booklet and things like that as well for the middle school?
I don't think she did last year, no. Ticket sales was what was reported.
Okay.
It's not designed to be a fundraiser, it's designed to be self-sustaining.
Right, I guess I just was trying to understand, because similar, I don't know about last year. I felt like the year before that there were ad sales that needed to happen, and I only know that from a parent standpoint, sorry. But I would think that would be something at least to acknowledge if there is an ad booklet that's being put together, where obviously it's trying to cover expenses, we probably would want to acknowledge that as well.
I had multiple conversations with Mrs. Thomas last year about the show,
Okay.
saw the show, but there was not an ad book.
Okay, great, thanks.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I wanted to update you on the Chromebooks for this year. The order arrived during the first week of September. 270 elementary Chromebooks and 360 for grade 6. were put in computer carts or are in the process of being put in computer carts. Should be done within a week or so. Next, we'll begin the process of exchanging or swapping out the Chromebooks for grade 7 with new ones in order to establish a replacement cycle at the middle and the high school. And there is a use for these for new students and for replacements of damaged Chromebooks. In terms of the Chromebooks that were ordered on the advice of Tom Platty, we have several touch screens which the students are finding really useful. 5 carts at Jarrick are touch, 3 at Kane, and 2 at Richer, and all of the 6th grade Chromebooks are touch device. Also updating you in terms of technology, we have a newly hired Chromebook technician. He will soon be in place to help, and his sole responsibility will be the installation and implementation and maintenance of the devices. It's interesting to note as well, he is a graduate of Marlborough High School. He was a participant for 2 summers in the mayor's internship program in the IT department in Marlborough. So that's real success along the way. In terms of accountability, the official district and school level results were released yesterday to the public, including accountability and assistance levels with the 2013-16 PPI data. The printed forms that are going home to parents were received today and will be mailed out soon. Donna and Patty are commandeering office support to help us mail those out. In mid-October, we'll have the school and district report cards available on the website. Our executive directors will plan to present a more detailed report on the accountability, likely on the October 25th meeting. We can say right now, though, and it is public, the embargo was lifted yesterday at 4:30. We continue to remain a level 3 district by virtue of Richer School, which is a level 3 in the lowest 20% of performing schools in that category, as well as the high school, which dropped a few notches, a few percentiles. The rest of the schools remain a level 2. And certainly we have a lot of work to do to determine why and to dig into the many layers of the data. You'll hear more about that from Dr. Kerbel and from Mary Murphy on October 25th. I wanted to mention the social emotional learning focus that you've been hearing a lot about. The Associations in Excellence through Social Emotional Learning, Excel Coalition, and that includes the joint groups that we belong to, the Superintendent Association and school committees. They've come together to build a public awareness and advocacy campaign about the increasing set of challenges facing our students. We have certainly put a tremendous investment in Massachusetts into standards and into improving outcomes academically, often without the comparable investment in social emotional learning that is essential to that academic achievement. We will continue to hear more and more about this initiative. For the past 2 summers, this theme was the focus of the Summer Institute of the Superintendents, and it certainly is the theme of the joint conference that we'll be going to, many of us, in November. There is going to be an event on Friday, October 7th from 9 to 10:30 at Marlborough High School. It's a very important event. It is called Go Higher, and it's designed to encourage our students to discover community colleges, state universities, and the UMass campuses through an assembly of student speakers and a college admissions fair. We're very excited to be able to host this, and we thank Sharon Buckley, who's here today, not only to support her student who was talking about the mentoring program, but also in her role as Director of Guidance. So she's going to add a few more details and formally invite you all to this presentation. Mrs. Buckley?
Thank you. Yes, I was approached by the Department of Higher Education, Katie Abel, who's the Executive Affairs, External Affairs Director, who described this campaign, which was quite intriguing. They pretty much virtually plan a college fair for us and bring it to us free of charge. I thought, what's the harm in that? So it is a campaign designed by the Department of Higher Ed in partnership with 29 Massachusetts public colleges, universities, and community colleges. They bring 5 to 6 college students who will speak to our seniors on October 7th about how do I select a major, what are the hurdles I need to overcome in starting college, and the all-important topic of financing my college education. While half of our seniors will listen to this assembly, the other half will go to a fair where 12 different colleges and representatives will be there, taking them through the steps and the motions of acceptance to college, choosing a major, finances, etc. Some of the schools that will be represented include Bridgewater State, Fitchburg State, Mass Art, MCLA, Worcester State, UMass Boston, Lowell, and Dartmouth, among others, including Quinsig and Mass Bay. We believe that this is going to target some of our students who might not otherwise think they could attend college. We want to show them the affordability and the different and multiple paths with which they can enter the college scene. Go Higher in the Department of Higher Ed also works with counselors to talk more about the mass transfer programs that are available within these 29 mass colleges and universities, as well as Commonwealth dual enrollment programs. So it's a comprehensive way to get all of these things together for our students. Oh, and you are all cordially invited to attend the event between 9 and 10 on the 7th. The Department of Higher Ed encourages that we have community involvement, and key players in our community come and attend and hear what's new and current in the college app process.
Question, Mrs. Hennessy.
Thank you. Great idea. And sure, if they're going to pay for it all, why not? Or organize it. Curious, you mentioned seniors. Would juniors have the opportunity to potentially sign up to be a part of it?
Yes, in fact, the Department of Higher Ed offers this campaign again in the spring, and they target juniors and sophomores. So it's my hope that we can tap into that resource on round 2.
Right, because I just think that in some cases, to make sure they're going down the right path early enough as opposed to being in crisis mode.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mrs. Buckley.
Any other questions?
Where is the event?
It's at the high school in the Little Theater.
In a little bit.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. My final item is, has to do with the ambassador visit for inclusive practice. Kathy Cummings, the executive director of Assabet Valley Collaborative, made a presentation last week to our leadership team in her role, in this time, as an equity ambassador through a grant sponsored by the department. She outlined the work that has been done in developing an equity playbook and a guidebook for inclusive practice. She shared it with us, and we actually played with some of the resources, giving us an idea of how we might help our students who are struggling, and also it really served to validate a lot of the work that we've been doing as well in the district. She first met with me and we talked about our needs, so the remarks were tailored very much to our district goals and to where we are going through the lens of equity. I included a quote of the week. If I find an apt quote each time in my report, I'll put it in, and I love this one. This came completely unsolicited. A 5th grade teacher's reaction to receiving her student data dashboards. I'm just opening my dashboards this morning, thank you. I've been waiting for something like this for 25 years. Everything we need to see on one sheet. It's always good to see that validation. I know the 5th grade specifically has worked really hard diving into the data, and they want more and more, and it will be updated every quarter. In the informations and handouts, I printed out, lest you think I did not pass the test, the certificate of completion for the Assabet board. And secondly, a flyer for the Fireball Run, and I also grabbed some of these at the chamber event this morning to pass around. We will be represented. It's a big, busy weekend in Marlborough. This weekend, the Fireball Run is taking place roughly from 12 to 2 on City Hall, on Main Street in front of City Hall. The band will be there, at least 27 of them, I hear. There's a conflict with SATs that morning. Cheerleaders will be there, and the varsity football team will be there to cheer on the cars that come in. This is a wonderfully big televised event that takes place all across the United States. So we're lucky that it's stopping here in Marlborough. As well, talking about that Heritage Festival, which occurs on Sunday, our new communications coordinator, Raina, will be representing Marlborough Public Schools with a booth. So we thank her for that, and we'll have a banner hanging on display at the parking garage. And I was able to purchased some tickets today as part of my role in the chamber. I'm not going to be able to use these, so I have in these envelopes for the first 3 people who would ask me, tickets for all of the events, including the Chowderfest for this weekend, and I want to make sure that these are well used. So first ones who ask me, and I'm not accepting texts, but whoever gets to me will get these. So thank you so much. That concludes my report.
Can I just follow up on the Fireball Run? The festival, the Oktoberfest, is not canceled, first of all.
No.
But if for any reason the chamber decides to cancel the Oktoberfest, the Fireball Run is still on. Fireball Run is on regardless, so they cannot change. As the superintendent said, it's a TV reality show, and they've been doing this for a while now, and we're really excited about everyone coming down. Anyone from the public that would like to come down at noontime, love to have you. Welcome the 40 cars that are gonna be down there, and thank all our students for participating. So it'll be a great weekend. Hopefully the rain holds out, and but one way or the other, the Fireball Run will be coming through town at noontime on Saturday. So. Mr. Bergeron.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a couple things I'd like to update the committee on tonight. The first is the cafeteria balances. Although we just started the school year, we do have a negative balance of $1,532 as of the time I wrote the report. As you remember last year, we pretty much carried a balance of about $1,500 throughout the whole year. So that seems to be the magic number that it holds at for most of the year. Again, the largest issue seems to be the breakfast charging, but positive balances remain strong. So the positive balances were over $40,000. Online payments for the food service they're up to $147,285 in total. So that has been a very positive program for us. We continue to enjoy using it. We've had strong usage in August and September, and I've gotten some really good positive feedback from parents about the process and how easy it is to go on and check students and what they're buying. Fiscal year 2016 is closed. As of writing the report, the day before it had closed. So we had some very positive results from 2016. First, being able to carry a full year circuit breaker revenue into this year. The ability to fund the capital plan for technology. We did send surplus back to the city. And I anticipate being able to fund capital plan for FY18 as well, based on my initial review of this year's budget. So based on all of this information, our ability to close out all but one of our contractual bargaining agreements, I believe we're in a very strong financial position. We're able to weather virtually any anticipated expense we could see in this year. And we have begun the process of FY18 budget. So it's not as exciting as the Fireball Run, but for me, the FY18 budget is where I go for fun. I just want to say I appreciate all the help from the DPW, police, everyone. As we've had some construction zones throughout the city. It's affected our bus routes. The partnership is fantastic. We appreciate it. Next year, I'm proposing that we institute a bus pass system to get a better and accurate ridership figures so we can better utilize the fleet from day one. I'm not proposing any fee. I'm just proposing that we just implement a bus pass system, which seems to work very well at the elementary, and make it system-wide for all students. I think that would help us get a better idea of bus stops and where we can best locate them in the city and where we can use the fleet to the best of our ability. And again, I'd just like to recognize the efforts of the custodial maintenance staff for all their hard work. Especially over at the Wickham, I was able to tour with Andrew White the new special education rooms that were built over the summer, and I was just really pleased with how quickly they got it together and created some new space over at the Wickham for our special education staff. I'm not sure if there's any questions.
Any questions, Ms. Hennessy?
Thank you. Like the idea of the bus passes, quick question. Since we need to handle the transportation for AMSA, if we're going to do that, can we also make sure that we're reaching out to AMSA to see if we can have bus passes that would also help us on the accuracy of the riders that would be with AMSA as well? Because I think we have to take that in total consideration.
Thank you. It's a great point. I speak to AMSA probably at least once a week, and I try to create a good partnership with them. As you know, we did add the 8th bus this year, and the reason that we have the 8th bus is that they provide me with data. They provided it 3 times over the summer about their enrollment, and I only look at the Marlborough children because that's who we're responsible for transporting in the city. So they give me their logs of students who are going to ride the bus, and that's how we figure out when we add that data in to see how many buses we actually need. So from there, a bus pass would actually be very simple because they already give us all that data.
And that would be helpful because I think, as we've also discussed, understanding the trends relative to morning versus afternoon riding as well. So I think if we're going to institute it here, it would be great to make sure we're instituting it with them in partnership of making sure that we're really holding all of our numbers true. So, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Minutes of the August 30th, 2016 meeting.
Motion to approve the August 30th minutes that we motioned to approve the last time, but we didn't have them in our packet, so they will be struck from the next set of minutes. So, motion to approve.
Motion to approve. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Carries. Minutes of the September 13th, 2016 meeting.
Motion to approve with the amendment of number 7.
Motion to approve as amended. Any discussions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Carries. Public participation. Any public participation? Any public participation? Seeing none. MHS testing staggering opening schedule.
Mr. Colery is here to present his schedule of proposed changes to the supportive testing environment for our high schoolers. Mr. Colery?
Thank you, Ms. Grulick. Thank you, School Committee, Mayor Bidget. Last year, I think I had come to present something similar about staggered openings for MCAS, just for a request. So what we tried to do is to kind of include all of the days that have modified days for testing, whether or not that be for MCAS, for PSAT participation, and or final exams or semester exams. So the dates are listed. I didn't know if there were any questions that I could answer.
Any questions from the committee? Ms. Matthews.
First question, you have an asterisk on a couple of the dates and no reference to the asterisk, so I think it's maybe in reference to in case there's a snow day.
Those are early, the asterisk is more for early release as opposed to the others that are listed as staggered opening. So staggered opening means that, forgive me, I'm having trouble with the microphone top.
Okay, and then I think it was one of the things we addressed last year, and I'm not sure if it's as much of an issue, is a 9:30 start. Is that okay bus-wise?
The 9:30 is fine. It was the
Okay.
9 o'clock that
Right.
was not.
And then the January 27th,
Yep.
you have semester 1 exams. We've never done, for the end of the January dates, you never had a release. You had your
We never
2,
requested one. We had one before for end of semester 2.
only at the end of the year.
Yes.
Never for, is it only one day? 'Cause it's the
We're
whole
only
week.
requesting one day. And the reason for that is the final day of exams that week. And last year, we were able to structure a schedule that worked to provide kids with review opportunities the day before an exam. So it was kind of modified block days. So review time was provided during classes, and then the next day they would take exams. Because of the way the schedule works, that's the end of the semester.
Okay.
So I have no,
So as long as there's no
no.
snow days.
Correct.
It would
So
work
the
on that
schedule, the grading timeline calendar
Right, can
is
move.
broken out based on approximating snow days.
Right.
So I think we had incorporated kind of an extra 2 days to first semester just in case there are snow days. So the anticipation is regardless if we have a snow day or not, that date should be the close of semester 1. And semester 2 would start that next week.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you very much. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve the either staggered opening or early release times as requested.
Motion to approve the schedule. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Carries. Elimination of progress reports.
I think you had received in your packet a summary wording from me relative to a communication that went out to families regarding progress reports. And I had provided a pretty detailed summary within the piece of information to all of you. This is not kind of a knee-jerk reaction. This is more of a planful, thoughtful conversation that had taken place over the span of a year with folks within the building, leadership team level, building administrators, and was aligned with district policy relative to building a digital ecosystem and kind of enacting the use of Aspen as our student information system. So this is the logical transition where we spent a great deal of time last year getting students and parents to access the portal and our teachers to use the portal more regularly. That process is still continuing. And the intent is to, since all of the information is available on a real-time basis, the time to actually print progress reports and distribute them via handouts to students during school seems to be redundant. So the intent was, if we have updated information and grading within our system and accessible on the portal, then that would provide ample opportunity for people to access information. So with that being said, I at least wanted to put that out there to all of you because there may be some questions that you wanted me to answer.
Questions from the committee? Any? Ms. Hennessy?
I guess a question that I have is, how are we going to make sure that meeting one of our goals of the community and family contact, how are we actually going to secure that the parents are acknowledging about what their child's grades are? Because at minimum, with the progress reports, there's normally a signature by a parent that's saying that, well, at least at middle school level, the parents in the past have requirements of signing, acknowledging whatever those grades are, and it had to get back in, or there were actually ramifications if it didn't get back in. So I'm curious how we're going to make sure that we're having that communication with the families, so that we're not having somebody by chance slip through the cracks. Because we have had issues like that before. And I want to see what are our stopgaps of making sure that we're not going to have that, because if we're taking away that element of an automatic signature securing that the information is actually getting to the adult at home.
Speaking to the high school part of this, there was not a signature component affiliated, but I'll speak more to your question about stopgap measures and making sure that people are communicating. One of our goals that it's outlined as a district goal is in terms of increasing two-way communication and family involvement. In addition, that represents kind of a school goal and a conversation that we've had with the entire faculty regarding communication with families and updating grade books on a regular basis, which is to say, at a minimum, every 2 weeks, that information should be updated. We've worked with our new Aspen coordinator, as well as with Linda Weintraub. So Robert Eve and Linda Weintraub have been working with them to create and access reports that exist to allow us to monitor who has accessed the portal and who has not. That was information I included in the summary, that we're identifying some of those families that haven't looked at the portal yet. And what we found is that some of those families are actually accessing the portal. They're just accessing it through their students' login as opposed to the family side. So they're getting a lot of the same information. The other piece of this, for those that are not accessing the portal, that's where we're reaching out and contacting those parents. And for those that we're not going to make contact with, then we will essentially, at the time of the midterm, approximately the midterm, we can print out a modified version of a progress report to send home with students to capture those parents. We can also mail, and that is part of the plan as well, is for those students that are struggling and or falling through the cracks, as you mentioned, in terms of stopgap measures, to make sure that we're communicating via mail as well to send that information home so that people have it. The other piece with the house system structure that's in place, there are also weekly meetings that are happening with counselors, assistant principals, school adjustment counselors, where they're monitoring academic progress as well as social emotional progress, behavioral progress, attendance progress on a weekly basis. And that information is then used also as a means of communicating with families.
Is that also going to catch, say the students that normally have been, say, A, B students, but that are now showing signs of moving to, say, like a C or C to D? So we're not talking about necessarily failing, but yet recognizing the, steps of there's an issue there.
Right. The expectation is communication needs to definitely go out from us when there's a significant change in progress. So if a significant change is typically an entire grade. So if you're moving from a B to a C, C to a D, that responsibility rests with the teacher to initiate that conversation. And then we're also running reports at another level to see where we are.
Okay.
Any other questions? Oh, Ms. Matthews.
To Mrs. Hennessy's point, I mean, I guess one of the issues that I have with a lack or a stop of a piece of communication, now granted, I don't always feel that the kids in the high school, when you handed them a piece of paper, it probably didn't go home or it stayed in the backpack. While you may be able to produce reports that say everybody has a user account now under Aspen,
It's actually telling us when they're accessing it too,
Well-
if they have accessed it.
I think you'd have a better chance of communicating with them if you emailed it to them. I think almost everybody has an email address. But to get somebody to actually proactively have to go onto a portal to look at something, you have less chance of it occurring. And I'm sure somewhere in Aspen, there is that ability. I was at the open house last week. Of all the teachers that I met with for my child, only one teacher mentioned it. And when a question was asked about, how is a parent to know when progress reports are? The teacher honestly said, I don't know how they're going to communicate that. Now, granted, it's not a set in stone date, I get that. But an email, I guarantee you a parent will react to. To send an email that says, go check Aspen, might not get their attention. But an email with the form that was being printed might be the solution. Because even if you tell me you have 100% signed up for Aspen, I'm not gonna believe that 100% are gonna look at it proactively. And I don't think all the students are utilizing it either, as much as they could, to be on top. I echo Ms. Hennessy's regard for the communication. Every piece we can give to them is better than taking away anything. So my own feeling is I think we're losing something by not providing them with some information. And I think D and Fs are too late. If we're not talking at Cs, because it's so gray. A D can be a point away, or a C can be a point away from a D, and is there time to fix that? So.
I don't necessarily look at the communication as removing something. I actually look at it as adding. With having more updated grade books more frequently, then the communication opportunity exists more frequently. So instead of 2 times per quarter with a progress report and an end of quarter report, now we have 5 opportunities within that 10-week window to communicate some of the information.
And what happens when teachers don't follow that?
Well,
And a parent contacts you and says.
That's accountability. That's
Okay.
supervision and accountability. That's ultimately my responsibility.
So I remember, now that I don't have children in the district anymore, but previously, I was able to set Aspen to ping me for any grade that went below a certain level. And I think that's an important thing that parents should know. I'm not so sure everyone knows that, but there was just a setting that anytime a grade got posted that was less than a 70 or whatever, I would get an email. So there's got to be some way to set it up so that the system can let people know you got, midterms, it's midterms time, or, I think the system probably can do a fair more than we ask it to do.
I think
As long as people know that they need to tell it to do.
No, I think clearly education needs to come with this, which is part of the reason why we're trying to get more and more people signed up every time we have any event at the high school. I have people there signing up people all summer long. I had house secretaries and guidance secretaries and the guidance staff.
Yeah, I saw that.
Any parents were coming in, they are like, you have an Aspen account? Here's the login, here's the information, go on there. If you have questions, contact us. So we're trying to get the word out there consistently. In terms of, I lost my train of thought. In terms of frequency, I'm looking at kind of the opportunity for people to access information in closer to real time, as opposed to, so it's a matter of changing a mindset. Instead of looking at it as, well, it's midterm time and it's report card time. Well, I should be able to access, I mean, my own kids, I have the same piece going on. If I want to see how they're doing in class, I log on to the system, I see how they're doing. And so that on-demand nature of the interaction between parent and school is what I think we want to more be aligned with.
Mr. Ryan?
I just wanted to say there's an app for that. There's actually an app that you can download that will ping you whenever there's a grade added to one of your students. So it gives you like an alert, which I'm addicted to.
It's
I
a
love it.
separate app
It's
then
just an app you can download. I can
that
tell you.
interfaces with Aspen?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. So there is an app for that. But I just wanted to share, I had an opposite experience in Heidi that I found as a freshman parent. Most of the teachers did comment about Aspen. And I also found that at the middle school as well, that they were emphasizing it and that there were people there to help. And I do feel that as a parent, it is our responsibility to be checking in with our kids. That we don't necessarily need to put it all on the teachers to be reaching out to us, although they should be, but we also need to be on top of our own children and parent them. That's all.
Mr. Walter?
Thank you. I am as wedded to paper as anyone, as you can see, and I still, I still in fact receive the newspaper on my driveway every day, but I want to just add my 2 cents, which is I think this is a fantastic way to go. We are committed as a district to creating this digital ecosystem. We pay a lot in licensing or royalty fees to Aspen. It provides us extremely valuable real-time information. And I love this. Let's get rid of the paper. Let's foster more communication through more real-time updates. And let's remember, the communication is a two-way street. We will assume our responsibility to educate parents and students about the process and put out the communications. But as Ms. Ryan indicated, and I firmly believe, parents then have a responsibility to stay in touch with us as well and to check in. And we will work out whatever kinks may work out. I have no, whatever kinks may develop, I have no doubt. But to me, you've put in some safeguards about contacting parents who you don't have a record of ever, opening the Aspen portal and the like. So I just wanted to say, I think this is a great move and a good direction to go in. So, thank you.
Any other questions from the committee?
Sorry.
Go ahead.
So I know you had said in here that the secretaries were calling families. And did we have people calling in Spanish and Portuguese? So that
We were
reading?
identifying, yes. I mean, that is obviously a part of this too. Our secretaries are not bilingual, so we're also
Right.
involving some of our translators to do some of that work too. We keep working with our network group to kind of find out as we add new students, because a lot of students, when they are registering, are also getting their Aspen information then,
Yep.
either when they first register at RPOC or when they first show up to the high school. So a lot of the information is communicated in that time too.
Okay, great. And can I just, this explanation that you gave to us was fabulous, I thought. I would have liked to have seen it earlier. I found out secondhand about the letter that went home to parents. I don't have kids in the district anymore. And I was kind of blindsided. Somebody asked me a question about it, and I didn't even know what it was. And that's not good.
Okay.
So I appreciate the information, and next time we're making some big changes like this, it would be helpful to us because our role in the community is, we get stopped in the vegetable aisle at the grocery store, and it's a little hard to not know something as big as this is coming down the pike.
Yep.
So, appreciate it.
I agree that communication is an important thing. I think also it's important for us to be in communication with the stakeholders directly in the school too. So, and that's part of the reason why when this information became essentially available to the school, that's when I shared it with the school. In hindsight, I could have done that a little bit differently.
Senator C.
While I do want to say, I like the idea, so please don't misunderstand the line of questioning, if you will,
not at
as
all.
I don't like it. I personally, like you, I'm checking Aspen all the time. My kids are probably ready to wring my neck by how actively I'm trying to keep an eye on things. That said, I am an active parent. My hope would be that there are other folks in the community that are doing that as well. But I also want to recognize that we do have a broad, diverse community. And that is not meaning that there's a certain line of these people are going to be more active and these people are not. It's just speaking to the wide breadth of differences that we have, whether it be the language, as you all had pointed out, that, you know, some of the challenges. And I think, you know, the recognition, as you had said, with some of the stopgaps of just making sure that we're trying to keep an eye on it, especially if we're rolling it out, to not have people kind of fall off the edge of the cliff due to not having accessibility of Wi-Fi very easily, only having the access maybe through a phone and not necessarily a computer. Because obviously looking at something this big, it's not kind of as easy to navigate and see and think through things. And so while I'm not trying to say I want to give patches to everyone, I think we just need to recognize kind of the community that we are in and the fabric that it's made up of, and that we may need to help out a little bit more upfront to make it successful in the end. And I guess that's where I would say anything that we can do, especially in this first year, to usher it in a very easy way, not having people have problems, would be helpful. And it sounds like you're going to try as best as you guys can. You know, that's the scary thing of trying to step off and do something. But I would say, to your point, no, you all don't have signatures at the high school. To middle school, I have more grave concerns about that, frankly, about having a parent signature. Because you in high school, you're trying to gain more responsibility of individuality of the child and taking that on. At middle school, I still think they're trying to figure out how to actually be a person dealing with other people in a good way. So, I do have more concerns about how that's going to have an effect in the middle school years than necessarily at high school.
Okay. Any other questions? Mr. Gary?
It's not really a question, but I believe it's great that we don't have to send a paper anymore. We are in a digital age. However, one of the things that does happen when you received progress reports as a family, some families are more active than others, and we should be advocating for them all to be as active as some of us are. But it was a cue to have the discussion. It was a cue to the parent to speak with their student about what's happening and they need to fix things or whatever. And Aspen is a great tool that we can do this right along, but without any cues to the parent, they may be very busy in their jobs, their lives, whatever, and things can fall by the wayside, and then that's what we don't want to have happen. We don't want the student to fall by the wayside. And if we want the parents to partner with us in keeping the kids on track, it would be good to have some kind of a cue. Somebody had mentioned maybe an email instead of, that progress reports are there, or whatever kind of interval we think is appropriate. But that cue from the district side is valuable, I think, to some of the parents also.
There is a publish feature in Aspen that allows us to kind of publish reports electronically and then attach those to people's home pages. I am not familiar if there's one that actually allows those to be emailed directly to individuals, but that's something, I'm jotting down notes relative to your questions because they're sparking ideas, which is what I was hoping to get out of this conversation, is some ideas and some other way of looking at it. So I appreciate the feedback, and it's something we can look into.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
I do have a quick question, just for clarity. So we're moving forward with some possible alterations at the high school. I don't hear that for the middle school, so I'm wondering, just to be clear, where the sentiment lies for the middle school, and if Mr. Daniels, is he still here? He is. Could address it, just so we are absolutely sure, since progress reports are upon us soon.
Well, this first progress report, we're staying, we're a few months behind the high school progress. So we will be going with paper and include with that handout the fact that we won't be at the second term going with paper. I have In all last year, whenever we sent out report cards or progress reports, sent a school messenger a reminder that these were coming home. While signatures were required, I cannot report that we are collecting 100% of signatures. One of the things that maintaining paper does is it encourages people not to go to a new system. When email first came into the school that I was working in, and it was very early, the principal finally stopped publishing the daily announcements for teachers because now we had a reason to use email, and that's what got us there. I think that we'll get much more communication. The other thing that progress reports or a published report does is slow down the process with our guidance and our support staff, that by the time grades get recorded, then by the time they get run off, sent home, return slips come back, we're within 2.5 weeks of the end of the term before the process of contacting parents starts. So by us all moving more towards a regular use of Aspen recording, Aspen records, and encouraging, again, I've been doing the same thing, reminding the faculty regularly that it's a responsibility. I can't, again, claim that everyone at Whitcomb is posting every 2 weeks, but we continue to push that as a professional responsibility. I think we'll see more attention to academic changes, and in middle school, anything below a C, right there, and really C minus. Middle school grades tend to run a little bit on the higher side, so we would start to do more direct contact with parents around grades at a slightly higher level than you would normally in high school.
Question from the committee. Any questions from the committee? Ms. Hennessy.
And I may be the only dissent. I'm still very concerned about, at middle school, I think there's so much stuff going on and that can happen very quickly. I love the idea of trying to get people to be doing something on a 2-week basis. I will say that we've been talking about that for a while, and there's some folks that have been exceptionally good on getting things updated. As you just alluded to, there are others that just don't. And so it makes the communication exceptionally hard. I think there was a conversation here at the table about some struggles about that exact subject. And I think that that's where, for me, I hear your reasoning, and, we're allowed to agree to disagree. I still have some concerns with the movement at middle school at this point. I think it's very valid to try and move us to an electronic age. I get it. I'm on it. I'm just not quite sure our population is there in a situation that it's going to be to our advantage with making sure that we're meeting our goal of the communication on a regular basis. But again, I might be the only lone, and I'm allowed to, so.
Oh, you absolutely are. And just a point, printed progress reports do not help with the question of getting faculty to post. That gives them really, in some ways, a leeway. That's a reminder, as opposed to this being a regular professional responsibility.
With exception, I think, to Mr. Gary's point, which was very valid, it's a cue. Because it's a cue for a family discussion, which happens.
Right.
And then if the progress report comes home and there isn't a grade there, that's the conversation then with the child saying, well, I don't understand, why wouldn't there be a grade there? Which then leads to a lot more happening. If there isn't that cue for the conversation, then it may not happen for too late into the semester, and there's not too much that can be done at that point. And I think some of the other things that we have, each of us have experienced in our own roles of being a parent, sometimes there are some folks that are a little bit more communicative on responding to emails of questions or concerns, others not quite so much. And that's just, all of us as individuals. But again, this is one of those ways of kind of tagging, making people aware. So.
Yep. And I agree with Mr. Gary's point. That's why there will be a midterm reminder that now it's time, if you haven't been on Aspen, and that our guidance department will be in contact more proactively than we have been in the past.
Other questions from the committee? Thank you very much.
Very welcome.
Personnel update.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
if you don't mind, I had one other piece of information to share in the spirit of Ms.
Chair, in
Henninger's
the spirit
question.
of.
in the spirit of Ms. Ettinger's question.
Okay.
Over the past, I had put out a communication recently to our faculty relative, because there was rumor and speculation talking about kind of the student schedule and the school schedule. We had a committee, if I remember correctly, we had lots of conversations about school schedule. And it's happened in this room and outside of this room over the span of years before I arrived here. And one of the things that I had done when I first got here is one committee that I formed of faculty was of a scheduling committee to kind of look at our time on learning, figure out ways that we can provide kind of as needed interventions for students during the school day. And that process has been marching along at a reasonable pace. And as part of that process, the committee had come forward with a recommendation that they presented to the leadership team last year. And that recommendation was of a modified schedule that would kind of embed the concept of block days with our other days that are not block days. And through our conversations and my experiences kind of adopting new schedules, one of the things that we arrived at would be great to be able to pilot an idea for a new schedule. And so in accordance with a piece that I had included in my school improvement plan back in the presentation in January relative to looking at and reviewing our school schedule, committee has done that, and I had shared some information with the staff. We haven't finalized some of the details, but we intend to do a pilot of a newer version, a different version of our schedule between the time of approximately Thanksgiving and the time of winter break. Because there's a 4-week period right there, which is approximately the length of 2 cycles in our schedule, that would give us the opportunity to kind of learn about changes that we might propose to a schedule, take some of that feedback, and then go back to committee to kind of identify how we're going to make changes going into the next school year. So I wanted to advise you of that because it's been a nice working relationship with the committee, and a lot of great ideas, kind of pooling ideas from other communities to figure out ways that we can satisfy time on learning as well as much needed interventions for kids.
Questions for the committee? Ms. Matthews?
Is it something you can share?
I don't have a final version to share with you. We actually haven't shared a final version with the staff yet. We gave them kind of a ballpark of what it might look like.
Is it something you can share with us once prior to?
Absolutely. The plan would be obviously to share it with the entire community that affiliated with the school too, but I can make sure that
Well,
you guys
and I guess similar to the write-up that you did
Yep.
regarding the progress reports and report cards, similar to that as to what the thought process was behind it,
Yep.
how it's addressing the time on
I'm
learning needs.
happy
and
to
so on.
come back.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Ms. Hennessy?
I apologize about having to miss some of that as I had to meet my daughter for a second. But would this also provide opportunity to then move forward on some of that semester class discussion that, you know, to meet some of the scheduling issues that we've had in the past?
I think we could, I mean, inevitably, whenever we come up with a new schedule, we're always keeping in mind our nature of our full year courses as well as semester courses.
Right.
So that would
Well,
be.
because I know that had been one of the things that we've discussed over the years prior to you even coming here was the movement from the 8 period to the 7 period. Obviously, we want to meet all the time on learning needs.
Right.
Yet, obviously, it was putting some other limitations on things. I think even to Tim Gallagher's point that he was bringing out earlier about the music program, and to Michelle's point that she brings up all the time that there are choices in life that we have to have. But, you know, I think that that's something that if we're going to move forward on looking at adaptations to the schedule, I think then we want to make sure that we're being very cognizant in regards to how this is going to affect some of the potential of the program of studies down the road, and what are some of the ideas that some of the teachers potentially have brought to the table of the semester courses that could be offered, because I know that was something you were looking to
I mean, we offered it,
expand.
right, and we did expand that this year, and we expect
Right.
to expand it going into next year, regardless of what the schedule is that's proposed or that we settle on. So I'm happy to go into more detail relative to that when I come back again. Tonight was more just of a primer, so to speak, just to kind of say that the things that we talk about in January when I come forward with school improvement planning ideas and talk about budgeting stuff and where I'm targeting my time, that's what I'm coming back to. So that's kind of the first opportunity for me to share with this group, like, here are some of the things that we have in mind for plans for the year. And then now coming back, I'm just saying, well, we're making progress in this area. and we're ready to kind of jump in with a pilot to get some feedback
And I think
before
to
we fully adopt.
Mrs. Matthews' point, if and once you've got something a little bit more malleable, if you can at least, send that over so Ms. Grlick could share that with us before necessarily having a meeting or having a pilot already happening.
Right.
It would be helpful for us to kind of take a little bit and, look at it.
Yeah. No, I
That'd be
think
great.
that the intent would be to bring the two co-chairs of that committee back to this group to kind of share, here's where we are, and we're about to start on a pilot.
Is that something that the school council has been involved in as well with those discussions?
School council has known, because there are members on the school council who are also part of the scheduling committee. So yes, they have known about it, that there have been conversations about the schedule and talking about changes and so
Awesome.
on.
Okay.
And one of the points of information for our first meeting of the year, which I think is next in 2 weeks, is to address that issue. Is to kind of say, all right, here are some of the proposals we have for changes, so that they're aware.
Ms. Bodenhenge.
I just want to thank you.
You're very welcome.
For my purposes, what you just told me is perfect. I know it's coming. I don't need all the details. I just don't want to be surprised.
Any other questions? Personnel update.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to give a brief update on the personnel report that we've been doing since the beginning of the year. As you can see, we do have about 21 positions that are still open. I would like to say that a lot of these happened after school started, so we've had some retirements. We've had some folks decide to leave the district. So a lot of these, very few of them are openings that we had during the summer. These are new openings as of school starting. So the good news is we're about 97.5% up to date on employees. We only have about 2% out there, and this is what you're looking at right now. So I did check, almost all of these are posted. If they're not posted, there may be a hold on the position that either the superintendent and the principal are looking at to utilize the position differently or to meet some of our needs. So the only reason it wouldn't be posted is we might be looking at things a little bit differently. We might want to use the position in a different area, but there's very few of those. So we hope to hire as many of these up in the next couple of weeks as possible.
Questions from the committee? Ms. Bodenhenge.
So, some of these I can see that you could go on for maybe some period of time with it open. A science teacher at the high school seems like a pretty important thing. Do we have a long-term sub in there? Like who's
Right now,
handling that right now?
right now, the demand for physics is not there, so we don't, that position, while it's not currently filled, is not harming our schedule right now. So Principal Cleary and the superintendent will have discussions about how best to use the positions in the budget, and that might be one that they look at to gain an additional benefit from. So that's an example of, as we actually get into school, sometimes the enrollments, there is fluctuations, and we do have to kind of roll with it and try to use what we have in our budget to the best of our abilities. And some of these we're just gonna be posting every single month, to be honest, behavior techs, so.
Any other questions?
Thanks.
Thank you very much. The adoption of a portion of the Municipal Modernization Act.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is just I've put out a request here for us to adopt the portion of the Municipal Modernization Act that allows boards, committees, commissions, departments to designate one member to sign the warrants. And what this would do is it would create a process where one member, that would be discussion for your board, could be designated to sign the warrants, and then at the next available meeting, present a report about the warrant. I think it would be a good process. I think it would be helpful. I think the warrants should still be sent to every member, and every member should have an opportunity to review it and ask questions, but this would streamline the process. While it doesn't take a lot of time for us now, it's certainly not something that is taking a lot of your time, but it does streamline it slightly. And we're already doing this for payroll.
Would you continue to like to have 4 signatures on that?
Well, you're one, so it's 3 of us. In the summer, it's hard.
No, but
with vacations and all. I mean, when we get it here at the table, it's not a
Well, I
big
will
deal.
say, at first blush, as I read this, and I said this to Mr. Bergeron, the former prosecutor in me started to break out in hives, because my experience is, the more you silo the information, the more chance for malfeasance or misfeasance. But then I also realized, well, we essentially do this for payroll as well. I had a chance to speak with Mr. Bergeron, though, and I asked the query, well, but wouldn't it be easier for someone to perhaps fake an invoice more than an actual fake employee on the payroll? And I think he certainly allayed my fears, because I guess we don't have the authority to create expense accounts, if I'm quoting you correctly.
Right, so we have a set of internal controls within the school and the city that the school department can't actually add their own vendors. And that's a good internal control, so that way anyone who's working in the business office of the school department cannot add an actual vendor to Munis, and therefore cannot get a check cut, because we don't work with cash, we only work with checks. So for us to be able to add a vendor, we actually have to put the request into City Hall. It's a double set of eyes, it's double vetting. Our entire warrant also goes through the auditor's office. Before it comes to you, it goes through the auditor's office, and there are many times that Diane Smith, who's the auditor, will pull a bill, will pull something and send it back to me and ask me to do additional work on it if it doesn't meet the set, the city policy. So there's already quite a few sets of eyes that go through it. So I look at this as just kind of modernizing the way we do the warrant as far as the committee meetings. But I think the process behind it should still stay in place, where every member should be able to see the entire warrant, have it emailed to them the same way we do it now, and be able to, possibly the same way that you send questions to one member to go to the superintendent. It seems like you could do this very easily for the warrant as well. Have one member represent the board, that would be my recommendation, and have all the questions go to the one member, and I could set aside time every other week to meet with the member to go over the warrant. And I'm used to that, because in the regional school districts, that's exactly what we did.
So, and I think it would obviously be prudent to allow us to, we would receive a copy electronically then, I guess. My only other suggestion, though, would be to perhaps designate an alternate signer in case there's an issue of the initial or primary signer having a conflict by appearing in the warrant or being out of town on vacation or whatnot. So we may want to do a primary and then an alternate signer of the warrant. But I think the sum and substance is, I think my concerns were allayed speaking with Mr. Bergeron about the chance for any malfeasance. In addition, I know the mayor looks at it and signs off as well. So, and then if everybody's getting a copy, the sunlight is on the document, and we can all review it and certainly ask our questions and voice any concerns.
Did you check at all to find out if we could appoint the entire membership? That any one member could sign off on the warrants?
I don't see any issue with that. I mean, and it could just be whoever is available to do it. I don't see anything that would stop us from doing it. As long as I knew which member was gonna do it, so I could set up a time to review the warrant with them.
I have to sign it anyway, so whatever works for everyone, that's fine with me.
I mean, I don't mind doing it, because I'm usually the one who asks Mike all the questions.
You really take the time to scrutinize.
I do.
I know you do.
I do go
So
through it.
I would vote for you. I would not vote for me.
Can we trust her?
I'll be her backup.
I would have asked that the motion be that any single member can sign the warrant, and our initial point person will be Heidi Matthews. And if for any reason you can't, then you send out an APB and say, someone else get down there.
Similar to what Ms. Ryan does for this payroll. Because she's our designee.
How is that in the form of a motion?
Seconded.
I think it was articulate.
Motion made and seconded. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Operating budget transfers.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have 3 transfers for the school committee tonight. I'd like to, since there's only 3 of them, I'd like to just go through them real quick, just so I can tell you why I'm requesting the transfers. The first is the AVC, Assabet Valley Collaborative, our local collaborative. The fee to be a member has risen to $6,000. We only have $5,250 budgeted, so I'm asking to move $750 over to that line just to cover that deficit. We have an available balance in the public day tuition line that we don't have any encumbrances against right now. I feel pretty comfortable. We don't have that many students that we send out to other public schools in this form. There's only one student I believe we have in the whole district, so I think that money will be available for most of the year. So that's just to cover a deficit for a collaborative assessment. The second is the insurance policies for athletics and for student trips. Although the city purchases and maintains a general liability policy for all the employees, all the property, all of the actions, all the school committee, everything like that, we do carry an additional policy that covers extraordinary things like football games and student field trips and those types of activities. The costs on them went up slightly this year, so I'm just asking to move some money over to cover those two deficits. There's for the athletics it's $262, for the student insurance is $540. The funds that we have in the vehicle repair line, I don't feel as though we're going to be repairing a lot of vehicles since we just bought 3 new ones. I don't think we'll be repairing them. I think we'll just be doing ordinary maintenance such as oil changes and tire rotations. So I don't feel I'm going to need that full $3,600 this year. So I feel pretty comfortable moving the money over. And the last one is just to move funds over. The behavior technician agreement, collective bargaining agreement, has a separate provision for course reimbursements, whereas all the other collective bargaining agreements together cap out at $70,000, and that's in one line. The behavior techs have their own $12,500 amount. So last year in Munis, I created a line specifically for this, just so we could separate them, and this would allow me to just move the money to that line so I can keep them as 2 separate line items.
Entertain a motion.
Can I just ask a
Go ahead,
question?
Jeff.
Just the 70,000, I thought that was just MEA.
It's MEA, it's paras, it's
Unit B.
Unit B, sorry. There's a couple who have that same, it's all in the same language in all of their contracts.
But it's still all the 70,000. They don't each have
One
70,000.
pool, no.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Motion?
Motion to
Motion.
approve. the
Motion made and seconded to approve. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Carries.
Thank you.
District's MCAS testing mode for spring 2017.
Thank you. I need to register our vote as to which mode we will be taking the test by October 14th, and we don't meet again until October 18th. So the background of this is that the state is mandating that all testing this year in grades 4 and 8 will be computer-based testing. By spring 2018, one more year, we'll be required to have computer-based testing in all grades 3 through 8. Last year, you'll recall we did computer-based test all of our students in grades 3 through 8. Just some statistics, 72% of the districts in Massachusetts opted for Park last year. Of those, 44% were computer-based, 39 were paper, and 17 were hybrid, some method of both. My recommendation is that we vote with option A. These are the 4 options. They're really, D is irrelevant, so it really comes down to A, B, and C, and my recommendation is that we computer-based test in all of the grades 3 through 8 this year.
Questions?
I was just a little confused because under background, it says all students in grades 4 and 8, and yet the vote is on grades 3 through 8, so
Sorry, I'm sorry if I wasn't clear. The state is mandating to get ready and phase in, especially for districts who are behind us in the infrastructure and in the devices. They're mandating that all 4th and 8th graders in the Commonwealth this year take it on a computer.
Oh, so if the test is for 3rd through 8th graders, they're only requiring 2 grades that
Correct.
have to have it.
Have
We're
to.
doing all.
We did all last year. I see
Okay,
no reason
got
to
it.
step back. It's a good dress rehearsal for the next year when we're all required.
Any other questions?
Motion to choose A.
Motion to approve
Support.
accepting option A. Any discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Carries. Charter school resolution. No action. Memorandum of understanding.
Oh, no, you're not getting out of that,
I'll be
Izzy.
more than happy to broach this one for you.
Good try.
Nice.
Good try.
Ms. Tennessee.
Thank you very much. So if you all might recall, back on February 23rd's meeting, we actually had a discussion around this point, and we did take a vote of 4-2 that evening. It was actually saying that we were in support of not raising the cap on the charter school situation, and that we did have a discussion about that, did take a vote, and then in March, and I apologize, I don't have it in front of me right now because I left that packet at home, but during March, we then had a discussion relative to the formula that was brought forward, I think, by Ms. Bowden-Hettiger for discussion, because she wanted to let you know that since that was the concern the mayor had brought forth was about the formula, which we were all in agreement that kind of stinks. And we did vote that too. So this would be having a vote tonight, either to reaffirm or not our feeling that we would like to make sure that it's known that this is how the Marlborough School Committee feels about the potential question of number 2 that is going to be on the ballot in November relative to charter schools. So I would like to make a motion that we move forward with an acknowledgement that we are not in favor of supporting the lifting of the cap on charter schools here in Massachusetts.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the resolution. Further discussion?
Does someone know the most recent count?
I have, in the resolution is
Actually,
the
here.
dollar amount,
No, of the number of school districts that have already supported this?
74?
There's a list right there,
Is that the
Michelle.
list?
Yeah, I just didn't, they change it every day, so.
Well,
I didn't look
that's a
today.
pretty
I think it
recent
was
list.
74.
This is not something that we're just doing haphazardly. This is a movement, and many districts across the state are participating in the same vote.
And the other thing to point out too is that we are the 16th largest, or 16th district in the state with the highest amount, how do I say that?
Of students that attend
No,
a charter school?
dollar amount. We're ranked number 16 in the amount of funds being sent to charters.
Diverted from our,
And again, so it's the funding issue, not, I am a true believer in choice, but not for the formula that currently is being utilized. And we are at almost $6 million this year is anticipated to be lost. And while the city does fund us, we are not the only district in the state that suffers from the formula. So that's why I'm in support of not lifting the cap.
until they fix
Fix the formula.
funding formula.
Well, obviously, I have a different viewpoint. This school system has seen substantial amount of money coming out of Chapter 70 over the last few years, starting prior to when the charter school came into town, and it's only increased substantially since that period. I agree that the formula is an issue, then address the formula. Don't blow up something that's working very, very well, especially in Marlborough. We have one of the best schools in the state here in Marlborough. I personally represent all the children in the city, the Marlborough Public School System kids, the charter school kids, the IC's kids, the Assabet kids, and Assabet actually has a more direct impact on your budget. We haven't seen any money reduced in the school funding because of the charter school. We just haven't. We actually, as Mr. Bergeron said, turned back funds this year. I think it's a good alternative for some kids that are able to get in there. Obviously, they have a lottery system. I just disagree that this is the action that should be taken. We should be getting on board and asking not to eliminate charter schools because they don't have some of the constraints we have. We should be eliminating some of the constraints that we have in our public school system to be fairer on both sides. And my last point really is, I think the charter school in Marlborough has made our system better. I think we have a better school system today because of it. I think it helps our system and our community, and I wholeheartedly support the charter school system. And like I said, I would love to have them have their own Chapter 70 number, just like Assabet, just like they do for transportation for the regional schools. But the way it's set up, that's not the option we have. But my feeling is, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
But
So, Ms.
I
Hennessy.
think you're, well.
Just for
misunderstanding what it is.
clarity, we're not asking for elimination of charter schools,
That's
because
not what
that
the
is not
question
what
is.
this is. The question number 2, and I think the discussion point that we're trying to have here, is that we are asking that the cap of charter schools that are currently in place here in Massachusetts, that cap not be raised. And I think, to your point, not until the formula is revamped is that something that anyone should be taking into consideration, because currently with the formula that's in place, should that cap be lifted, then it could cause a lot of havoc, not necessarily here in Marlborough. This is just really speaking more to the overall educational system here in the state of Massachusetts. And I think we're looking, or at least I am looking, to put forth that my hope is that I don't want to see that cap changed right now, because I don't think that they are in a position of being able to truly handle things and continue to support the public school system. And make sure that we're all moving forward together here in Massachusetts. We're an incredible state. We're top rated in education. And while I appreciate the options of choices, I think until they get some other ducks in a row, it would not be a wise choice.
Any other questions? Mr. Walter?
But while the grand wizards on Beacon Hill do their best Nero impression and just fiddle, tens of thousands of kids and parents who want to have their children attend charter schools are denied. They're on waiting lists, they don't get in, so I will be voting against the proposed resolution.
Any other questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, on the motion to approve, all those in favor? All those opposed? It is approved. Memorandum of Understanding between the MEA and the school committee. Ms. Matthews?
There's a memorandum in front of you. We're proposing adding 2 clubs to this category 5, Appendix E, at the high school based on interest of an additional clubs. So the book club and the Habitat for Humanity. And motion to approve the additional club statement.
Motion made and seconded to approve. Any discussion?
Just for clarity, when Mr. Cleary was here previous time, he talked about the process that they go through. So the kids come up with the idea, they pilot it, it's gone, both of these clubs have gone through their process.
Yes.
For a couple of years now, we know this is a viable club, and now they're asking for the money for a
Yes, the money,
stipend.
and there are, not 100% of the clubs are running, so there are funds available to,
So it's
pay
not
for
a
them.
budget,
It's not a-
there's
right,
no
it's not a
budget
budget
implications,
implication,
because we're just
right.
moving money from one club to another.
Any further questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Carries. Thank you very much. School Committee Secretary, Ms. Bodenhinger.
The ongoing saga continues. So we do have some interest, the position was posted, we have some interest, and now we have to decide who is going to interview candidates. Personally, I think some other people should interview candidates. We need 2 or 3 members.
Any volunteers?
I'd be happy to, since they're
One.
gonna have to be able to put up with me.
Another volunteer? Mr. Gary? Okay.
You can do some?
Uh,
You'll be able to? No, I mean, do you have the time in your schedule you'll figure it out? Okay, terrific.
Anyone else, or we all set?
Catherine, you want to?
Yeah.
If you want a third, I'll
Yeah,
volunteer.
okay. The three of you.
Thank you.
Thank you, and we'll make arrangements through the superintendent's office to have you take a look at resumes and go from there. Thank you very much.
Excellent.
Acceptance of donations and gifts, Jarrick School Student Activity Account, Jarrick Student Programs, $964.23.
Motion to approve.
Motion made and seconded to approve. All those, any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Carries. Kane School Student Activity Account, Kane Student Programs, $32.13.
Motion to approve.
Motion made and seconded to approve. Any discussion? Seeing none. Mr. Bergeron.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Mr. Mayor. I just want to let the committee know that these three first ones are eliminations of the student activity accounts at the elementary level per recommendation of our auditor, Tony Roselli. After going through, we didn't really seem to have a need per se for the student activity accounts at the elementary level. So I've worked with the auditor, I've worked with the town comptroller. So we're eliminating the accounts, we're moving these funds into the gift funds, which are already in Munis, and then we're gonna be closing those checking accounts at the elementary level. It's also why I did not ask the elementary principals to come and present their activities, because they no longer have activities after we accept these funds.
So with that, can I ask, so the money, I mean, there's obviously pretty divergent. Richer seems to have a lot more than the other ones. That money, even though it's in a gift fund, will still, Richer will still have access to it. My understanding is that these funds were supposed to supplement when some students perhaps couldn't afford to go on a field trip or something of that sort.
And that's exactly what they'll still do.
Okay.
What they'll do is they'll be in the gift fund for each individual school and under the purview of the principal, just like they were in the student activity accounts. If you actually look at the student activity accounts, they're supposed to be student-run. And the issue with elementary, they're just not mature enough to be able to run accounts. They're too young. So what happens is we're moving them to the gift accounts under the purview of the principal, who will still use them for the benefit of the students through field trips and other activities.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Carries.
Oh, you did Kane, you have to do Richer.
All right, Richer School Student Activity Account, Richer Student Programs, $5,071.52.
Motion to approve.
Motion made and seconded to approve. Any discussion? Ms. Hennessy.
Just a quick question, for clarity, that amount of money then would need to be spent within this year it goes away, correct?
Gift accounts are, they're outside the budget. They're not, you don't have to spend it all in 1 year. I would encourage them to spend it. So my answer would be yes, because what happens is we are getting in gifts and, for example, Target gives us $500-600 a year. The photography company gives us between $1,100 and $1,200. They're gonna keep on getting money. So
Okay.
my answer would be yes.
Okay.
The legal answer is no, you don't have to. My answer is please spend this money down. It's for the benefit of kids. Hope that helps.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Carries. LRG Prep MHS School Spirit, $5.54.
Motion to approve.
Motion made and seconded to approve. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Carries. Ohio Pile Prince Inc., MHS School Spirit, $10.68.
Motion to approve.
Motion made and seconded to approve. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Carries. Reports of subcommittees. Any reports of subcommittees?
Could I ask what happened with
You
you?
guys
Did you
doing
choose a
nothing?
company?
Oh, yeah, you chose a firm.
Did you interview for the?
Ryan.
I'm requesting Mrs. Ryan give us an update.
Mrs. Ryan, give us an update.
I never got the final word though, but the school building committee, is that what it was? Did do the interviews for the OPM, is that the right abbreviation? And we did narrow it down to the top, we graded them, so we did have a number one. Do we know if they got the bid?
I don't want to steal the mayor's thunder.
Oh,
Nope,
okay.
we chose one. We have negotiated a price, and we'll be signing a contract shortly.
Daedalus was our number one firm.
What's it called?
Daedalus? I might be saying that wrong.
Oh,
Maureen,
yeah,
am I
yeah,
saying
yeah.
that wrong?
Daedalus.
Yes.
He was the
Our
architect
expert
of
at
the
the
maze.
table
The
should-
architect of the maze that held the
Yes.
Minotaur.
Of course.
Aptly
Thank you.
named.
Aptly named.
Aptly named.
Thank you very much. Any other committees? All right, members forum. Any members want to be heard? Any members want to be heard? Ms. Bodenhenge?
Well, I just want to,
I asked 3
suggest,
times.
I
You're
know.
supposed to adjourn.
Oh, that's what I'm adjourning?
That's your motion.
Okay. Move to adjourn.
Motion made and seconded to adjourn. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Carries. Thank you all very much.
I'll take